With Microsoft closing down the Xbox 360 store on July 29th, or having already closed down the store on July 29th, 2024, depending when you're watching this, I thought it would be a good time to buy a spare Xbox 360 and get this sucker modded. So I picked up this Xbox 360E, and it was a great price, and it works great, and I've sat on it for months and never did anything with it, but I always intended to do the Reset Glitch Hack 3 to it, and with Voltar finally streaming some Reset Glitch Hack streams, it finally got me off my butt to do so. And I gotta say, this process was actually pretty fun, a little bit time consuming for me since my soldering skills aren't the greatest, but I was able to successfully mod this Xbox 360E with Reset Glitch 3, and it is now my spare Xbox 360 until my current one dies. But unlike my normal tutorials videos, this is kind of more of my own little diary of what the process entailed, and you could just join me on my journey. Enjoy! Okay, got my Raspberry Pi Pico, got my board out of my Xbox 360E. This thermal paste is dry as none other. Holy crap, glad I'm going to get to replace this. And yes, okay. So following the Reset Glitch Hack 3 guide over on 360 Hub, and my motherboard is a Corona V3 or 4, can't really tell the difference, but Corona motherboard. So bridging resistors, and Pico flash, and then 2 wires. Okay, need to bring these up for soldering scenes because I just don't want to show off my terrible soldering skills. All right, perfect. So link to this guide will be down in the video description. But need to download Octal's JRunner with extras. And Pico Flasher. Hold down the boot select button and plug in the Raspberry Pi Pico. There we go. And then drag in Pico Flasher into the RPi file system. Automatically flashes it, disconnects it when done. All right, now to extract JRunner, so that way we can make sure that it's seeing Pico Flasher. Launch JRunner. And there we go, Pico Flasher showing up in the program. Perfect. All right, step 1 complete. Okay, so for soldering up our Pico Flasher, it just really depends on the motherboard, but so FATs, apparently all the FATs have the same flash points, and then the same solder points on the Pico Flasher, so nice and easy to follow this. Okay, cool. And then same with Trinity, got our different points here and wiring up to the Pico Flasher, but again, I am on a Corona, so this is the one I want. Okay, so I have to bridge these 3 points if there's no resistor in place. So let's see. There's already one on R2C6, or is that R2C10? So already have a resistor there. Got to bridge the points at R2C7 and R2C6. Okay, gonna do that real quick. All right, with those bridged, that gives us read-write permission on the NAND. Okay, so now we just need to hook up the Pico Flashers. So, all right, these won't be very difficult for me to solder. Awesome. Oh man, 4 gig consoles have their own setup even. All right, so got the Pico Flasher wired up. Perfect. Everything looks solid. It's all connected. This is great. Not very difficult. The bridging was probably the hardest part for me here. So my CPU requires a postfix adapter, so I have a V1 here, probably an executor clone, but got it in place. And as for wiring up the Reset Glitch 3 hack, so fat motherboards require a 22K resistor as well as a diode. All right, and the wiring points for PLL and post, SMC post, SMC PLL. Okay, so kind of glad I'm not using a FAT. This doesn't look as fun. Very small points, holy cow. Then we have our topside PLL point or the alternate on the bottom. Cool. So that'll be useful for those of you that want to try this on a FAT, though the FAT supposedly isn't as reliable for Reset Glitch Hack 3, so might want to look into other methods anyway, but anyway. Trinity motherboards, just 2 wires, and you need a 3K to 10K resistor on the PLL and solder the wire to the other side of the resistor. And so this one is just going into the post and SMC post. Again, pretty small points, not a very long wire. And then PLL bypass and SMC PLL. are right there. Okay. So this is very similar to what's on the Corona. Probably what scares me the most about this process is scraping out this silk screen and trying to solder onto this little point. Don't want to damage traces. All right, but anyway, again, I'm on Corona. And again, I have the postfix adapter because I don't have post 1 wired up on a Corona V3 or V4, whichever one I happen to have. So wired up that postfix adapter to post 1 and routed it to SMC post 1. All right, and scraping off enough of the silk screen to get to PLL. All right, hold on. I'm going to try this real quick. Okay, so got it scraped off and the wire in place, and it's holding, so I guess I've done it right. That's good. Now I need a 1K resistor for the PLL side. So have that on SMC PLL because it's an easier point for me to solder to. Hopefully it won't make too big of a difference. All right, but let's go ahead and show off our shoddy patchwork here. Got it all secured with Captain Tape for insulation as well. All right, now onto the software side. So applied standby power to the board. So time to open JRunner. And the first step is to identify my console type. All right, so Corona 16 megabytes. All right, it's reading it. So click read NAND. And we'll wait for it to read the NAND sectors through the Pico flasher here. It's doing 2 NAND reads so it can compare them to each other. So that way you know that you have a good NAND dump. So that way you don't jack up your console. But I'm just glad that I got these points wired up correctly because I really did not want to go over these again. So hooray! And NANDs are the same. Yes, all right. Now we can create a Zell image. But before that, I want to go ahead and back up this NAND dump just because if anything goes wrong, I can have the stock system restored. So just going to make a quick backup of these to my desktop so that way we don't mess up anything. All right, so the next step is to select Reset Glitch Hack 3. And create Zell. And with Zell created, we could tell it to write Zell to our NAND. Done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and quickly boot this so we can confirm that the glitch is happening. All right, confirmed that the glitch is happening. So before I go further, I'm going to reconnect the heatsink and X clamps so that way we don't have to worry about any heat issues arising from trying to do the glitch process. Okay, so the whole point of needing Zell is to get our CPU key. So you could either take a picture and write this down into JRunner manually or connect a network cable to your system and then put the IP address into JRunner if you're on the same network. So I'm going to do the IP route just because I don't trust myself to write this down correctly. Okay, turned off the Xbox and reconnected Pico Flasher. So now that we have our CPU key, we could create XE build. Okay, it's doing its thing. Cool. And now to write the NAND. So I'm just going to have this skip ahead a bit. And write successful. So that means this box is now fully reset Glitch Hack 3 if it turns on and boots. Okay, so the system booted, so now I'm going to go ahead and create a 2 terabyte hard drive for it using this Team Group SSD. It's actually the only 2 terabyte I have on hand at the moment, oddly enough. But loading it up in FATX Explorer, got it formatted to Xbox 360 storage, and downloaded the latest version of Aurora, so just going to add that to the hard drive. Okay, just going to run a quick test on this drive and install a game onto it real quick just to make sure everything works. All right, everything worked like it's supposed to, so now got Dash Launch downloaded. So just going to get this one extracted and added to the drive so that way we can have Aurora actually boot. Just going to rename this folder Dash Launch, and then I'm going to copy that and Zell Launch to the root of that hard drive. And I did this with FATX Explorer. Okay, now to be able to launch Dash Launch, going to download the live version of TgrMstr, because we can add this to our content folder and it will show up in the demo tab on the Xbox itself. And since it's Reset Glitch Hack 3, it will actually boot. So just gonna add this to the content folder with that game install I just did to test everything. All right, and with all of this in place, the software side of my Reset Glitch Hack 3 box is now complete. So just gonna disconnect the hard drive from the computer here. Now boot it up into the Xbox. Heading over to the Games tab, we can see that stuff. But again, I want to show that the storage is working as intended. We have full 2 terabytes. So installed Ace Combat 6 is my test game. And then under the Demos tab, hey, look at that. XEX menu. Yes! All right, so games, my games, Ace Combat 6, and XEX menu. Gonna launch this. It's gonna ask you to sign in, so you can just make a generic profile for that if you don't have one. And there we go. There is the file structure of my hard drive. So gonna load Dash Launch. And under paths, gonna set a default launch to Aurora. So I already did this, but if you just press A on this, you can navigate to your hard drive, select your Aurora folder, and choose aurora.xex. And then I also have a shortcut to get back into Dash Launch if needed to change any of these additional settings. But with everything set, just press your right bumper, navigate down to a storage device, and press X to save your settings. So that way it will take effect on console boot. But again, there's a lot you could do in Dash Launch, so it's too much for me to cover. But anyway, just going to turn the Xbox off and reboot it to show the boot process in full, and then Aurora loading. So Reset Glitch Hack 3 on this Corona is very fast. And there we go, Aurora is now loaded up. And I set up some directories already, so it is showing my Ace Combat 6 install here, along with XEX menu. And then I copied over a Game Boy Advance emulator to test out here in a second. But there's a lot of cool features and settings you can mess around with in Aurora. But to get games to show up, you need to go down to the content here in your start menu, manage paths, add, and then you can add in different folders for you to get your content. I might do a full video on Aurora one of these days, but we'll see. But anyway, so games you install from disk, anything you add in extracted format, and then, of course, homebrew and emulators are all going to be usable on your Reset Glitch Hack 3 box. So here's a GBA emulator available. This thing actually isn't that great. It's a lot of frame skip, but hey, it's still pretty cool. And it's also pretty cool that when you're in your Xbox guide, you can see the temperatures for all of your stuff now. Like, that's pretty neat. But this hack is now complete. Alright, but that was my journey to Reset Glitch Hack my Xbox 360e Corona V3/V4 motherboard. Very interesting process. I've been wanting to try Reset Glitch Hack 3 for a long time, so I'm glad I finally did it. Overall, not the most difficult of mods, but some smaller solder points are definitely a little scarier than what I'm typically used to. But glad to see I was able to pull it off. And while this isn't necessarily a Reset Glitch Hack 3 guide, I do hope you have found some value in watching this video, or just to suit your own curiosity to see how a novice would handle this hack. But thanks so much for watching. Here at the end, usual favors. If you haven't already, thumbs up, thumbs down, depending on how much you like this one, as well as that sub button notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. Loads of content always coming your way, and I'd love to have each and every one of you along for the ride. For anyone interested in further helping support the channel and keep it going, please be sure to check out that join button here on YouTube or the Patreon link in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Every little bit helps keeps this place going and bringing all of this content directly to you. Big shout out to all of our current backers. You are amazing. Thank you so much for believing what we do here and helping us keep it going. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we'll see you back next video.